Well, before we get started with the video, which has to do with some consignment and thrift store shopping that I did for spring, and also some dead things that I have here in the house that I want to show you. Nothing gross or creepy, I promise. I want to pre-apologize for these beautiful little light beans that I have here. I'm in front of them for most of the video. Well, hello there, kindred spirits. I thought I would show you a few things that I have purchased within the past, well, this was in the past week. And then I have some things that I purchased just after Christmas. Knowing that I was going to go into the winter doldrums and have a little cabin fever, I like to bring spring into my house early, and some of these purchases are going to help me do that. So I thought I would show you some of these finds. Now the biggest one here. There's a story behind this, and the story really is I've always been drawn to them. Ben and I were looking at them for Groton House, but at one point we kind of knew we were thinking about selling, so I chose not to buy this one last year when I saw it at a store. Then I went back thinking, well, I could always buy it and bring it to a new house with us, and at that point it had sold. So this year, last week, I did go to Cataldo's in Littleton, and I found this back in stock, and this is made in Massachusetts. And I'm going to need to grab my glasses because I don't have my contacts in right now, and they do glare with the ring light. But this is made in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. So I do like having something that's New England made here. So I'm looking forward to putting this in the garden. I have to select where I'm going to put it, but it's going to take a 4x4 post that we're going to put in the ground, and then it goes on top, and then there's some screw holes on the side that will hold that on. So this is one thing that I purchased for going into spring, because our birds need a place to nest. So that's one item. Another thing I recently purchased were some herbs. Now, I don't normally buy herbs this early. It's usually as soon as I know we're not going to have a frost, and I go out and buy them for the outdoor yard, because I do not do well with indoor plants. I have a green thumb outside, not inside. But I figured I'd give a try with this rosemary and basil, and they were tagged both organic, and I think the price was $5.99 or $6.99. These were also from Cataldo's, and I just wanted a bit of green here in the house, and since I don't do well with plants, I'm gonna give these a go. Really, really, really hard to keep these alive and put them in my garden this coming spring once that last frost has gone by. If they don't make it, say goodbye to my little friends now. I got to figure out which window will be best for them. I don't want them to get too cold, but I'll already be able to use some of this basil for a cauliflower pizza that I'm going to be making. I'm going to try it for the first time. So that's the second thing I got to help me with the spring. I also purchased a couple books at a used bookstore in Peterborough, New Hampshire. It's called Toadstool Bookstore. One side is new books, and they have a large room of used, and I hit that all the time when I go into town. So this is a Northeast Gardener's Year, and it goes month by month for what this particular person did in their garden, and I'm looking forward to reading that, because my gardening journal is just a couple quick notes, a couple sketches, date, time, temperature, that's it. This one's a little bit more in detail. And speaking of journal, I had so many people ask me about my journaling. I will absolutely do a video sometime very soon on my 3 journals and then some, because I have some other journals going that I don't do all the time. but I will go over that. So this is one of the books that I purchased for gardening, and then I picked up 2 other books that are garden related. Your House, Your Garden, which is a little bit more on garden design. And even though I am pretty proficient with interior design, houses and layouts, when it comes to garden design, there's going to be a similarity with flow and concept, but I just wanted a little more inspiration and learn a little bit more about garden design. And I will be adding it to all my other garden design books that I've been buying over the years. But there were some ideas in here that I knew I could glean some information from it, so I was pleased to find that. This particular book I was pleased to find also, English Cottage Gardening, but it's for the American gardener. So many times I will look at English cottage gardens and then realize that I can't exactly do the same thing here, even though our climates are very similar. I was pleased to find this, and I flipped through the pages, and there is a lot in here that I'm looking forward to giving a try. One of them is a lot of pea stone, and I had pea stone at the other. I think I've had pea stone in almost every garden that I've had at every home. So I do like the pea stone concept. I just found out this morning that Ben not so much, because I was talking about maybe putting pea stone out in our patio, which is right out this back door here. Right now there's large stones. Oh, we'll talk about the dead plant in a minute. There's some large stones out there, and to excavate them and reset them could be a lot. So I'm like, well, let's just re-edge it and put pea stone. And he's like, I'm not really a pea stone person. So I'm not sure. He said I could do whatever I want. Gosh, love him. If he doesn't like it, I might have to reconsider that, but I think it would look really good once we redesign this porch here. And when I say redesign, it's just redecorate, painting, and things like that. So what else gardening? Oh, when I was also at Cataldo's, and you can get these pretty much anywhere, this is a Yankee candle, and I wanted to try the scent of lemon and rosemary. So I thought this would be fun. When I make my springtime potpourri, I do have lemon, thyme, rosemary. Sometimes I'll put some lavender in there. Definitely put citrus. So I thought I would give this a try. And I also grabbed this candle. It's called Midnight Citrus. And it just has a really crisp, citrusy scent. I don't know what the herb is in there. It shows a picture of it, but I don't recognize the name of it. You might, I don't. It is saying it is called Satsuma. I'll have to look that up. Zesty citrus Changelo blended with Satsuma and blood orange. But it smells really nice. I am definitely a citrus herby candle person versus very floral. The floral seems to give me a headache, even though I love flowers. So it's kind of like an odd situation for me, unfortunately. Let's see, what else? I ended up purchasing this. This was from Twin Elms in Peterborough. I do get cloches whenever possible that are a little thicker than some of the norm, and this will either be used inside for a bird's nest, a cupcake, cheese, or it will even be used in the garden if I have a seedling that I just want to help a little bit with. So I did pick that up. I got this at Remarkable, this cute little basket, and there's still a bow on it, so it was right after Christmas when I picked it up. I could see myself going to farmer's market with this and getting some bread, maybe a local wine in here. Sometimes visual things to me is what I gravitate towards, and that's what I saw right away. So I could take this to market. I could also take it to a girlfriend's house if I'm bringing a bottle of wine and some crackers and cheese or something like that. So I just thought that was cute. Impulse buy. Also at Remarkable, I have not seen one of these before, and I grabbed it. It's a corner basket, and as soon as I saw this, I visualized this also on the porch for when I do it over for walking sticks, umbrellas, even Willow's toy that we used to throw her ball. So it'll help keep that all together. Until the porch is done, I'm going to see if it will fit in the front hall. But I really liked it. I've already had it on the porch for a while. We haven't used it yet. This will be worked into the new design for the porch. Isn't that great? Who else has seen a corner basket like this? I haven't. Now, this is kind of garden related, but this doesn't have to do with spring. I am an impulse buyer. When I see something that I like that's a good price, or even if it's not, I will say thrift store pricing. This was at a consignment store. And for some who have asked what consignment stores are, that just means that somebody owns the item, they brought it to the store owner to sell on their behalf, and then the store owner and the owner of the item split the cost. So it's not always really great pricing, but you can find unique things. So case in point, you know, I do have my mortise and pestle for grinding herbs and spices, but I liked this one. This was a little bit different. I can already see myself putting some dried rosemary in there and thyme and just crushing them up. And this says was made in Taiwan. There's no maiden or anything, so it doesn't look vintage. There's not a lot of wear on it, but who knows? It could be new. I've never seen this before either, this kind of concept. So I'm looking forward to that, to trying it. So I will be keeping it here with my ironstone. And right before I show you this, I did have a question from somebody about how I go about collecting ironstone. What do I look for? And really, it's not all ironstone. What I like to go for is color, shape, style, and functionality. So this, it doesn't say what it is. It's probably an ironstone, but it's not marked as such. It does have some wear, so I do think it's vintage. But it doesn't have to say ironstone. It doesn't have to have a particular breed to it, as long as I like it. And I know I'll be using this. All of these items came down off of the shelves. I used them for Thanksgiving. I used them for Christmas. This is going to go right also on the shelf here. And I will be using that. But someday there might be a fireplace here or my oven. And I'm going to talk about that in another video. I've been videotaping some ideas for the kitchen, and I wanted to share that with you. But I'm going to be such a tease. That's going to be in another video. And last but not least here, of things that I purchased, and actually I've got more that I've been purchasing, I'm just not showing you here. I haven't even opened up this little packet. These are 2 pillowcases embroidered, and I'll show you a close-up, but they're embroidered with the letter D, and I don't always see our particular initial out there. Oh my goodness, they actually, they almost look like they're king size, which that shocks me. I thought they were going to be just full. So I grabbed these. I don't always see monogrammed Ds when I go out and about thrift shopping or consignment shopping. They are in great shape. The only thing I do wish is, if you're a store owner and you have things like this that you're selling, please don't put the safety pin or the pin right where the lettering goes, because sometimes it does leave a little rust mark, and I'm going to have to try to clean that up. So that's one thing I was always conscious of when I had my store, is making sure when a label was removed, it wasn't damaging or harming the actual item. So that's my only pet peeve on this particular purchase. Hold on, I dropped the ribbon. So I didn't even open it up to see what they were when I purchased them. I was just excited to see the letter D, because I knew if they did have damage, even though the little note said that they were in perfect condition, I would cut them and make pillows out of those. And the last thing I'm going to show you that I bought, other than all the other stuff that I bought that I'm not showing you, is this book by Rosie Denkin. It's called Butter Celebrates. And when I flipped through this at the store and read just a couple blurbs, I realized right away I like how she wrote. She has a sense of humor. The recipe directions were very easy to understand, and there's some very delicious looking recipes here that I'm looking forward to trying and sharing with you. So if I can find this, I will link it below, but it's Rosie Denkin, Butter Celebrates. And like I said, it's not just a cookbook. She has some really funny, cute stories in there. I think that's it that I'm sharing today for purchases, but let me get to the dead tulips that are in front of me. Now, this is done on purpose. I had a lot of Instagram followers ask me how I forced the tulip bulbs when they saw a photo that I took and put on Instagram. And I had to let them know I didn't force them. I bought them pre-potted at a grocery store. And then I just put them in a pot here and I put some of my pine cones around it. Now, when I do something like this, or even when I get tulips or hyacinths for Easter, I save them and I replant them in the fall. So with these, what I'm just waiting for right now is the flowers already died down. I'm going to cut the flowers off in just a moment after I finish filming here. Then I'm going to wait for this green to turn brown, because what's happening right now is the energy is going back into the roots. If I were to cut this right now and take the bulbs out, it's going to be taking away from a lot of the energy and nutrients that that bulb needs for a nice healthy plant. So once this turns brown, I'm going to cut this, take it out of the pot, get rid of the dirt, clean it up a little bit, and then I'm going to put it in a paper bag and put it in a cool, dry space. So when I do this, I'll try to remember to show you what I'm doing, but I'm thinking this will be brown in a week or two, and I just keep it out of sight until that happens. Now, let's see. I wanted to show you something else regarding the kissing ball, and I have it on the other side of the kitchen. I'll be right back. Okay, so I promised an update regarding the kissing ball that we made at Christmas time together using a potato. And I had quite a few ask, does the potato get rotten? What happens to it? I didn't know, because this was the first time I used a potato to make a kissing ball. But now I can tell you. What happened is that the greenery absolutely got moisture from the potato, and it lasted a good long time. And then when it dried out, it kept a lot of its green color. So while it was hanging, it still looked beautiful to my eye, at least. To a professional florist, they'd be like, take it down. But it was fine. But when I did take it down, I could tell the weight of it was super light. So I couldn't help myself. I had to pull apart and pull out a lot of the greens. And inside, the potato was literally shriveled up. Every bit of moisture was sucked out of it, and it's hard as a rock. It's almost like wood. So for those who asked if it would spoil, it did not. It literally had all the moisture. It was dehydrated by the greens, by the evergreens. So I thought I would share that with you. So for next year, I will absolutely do this again, because now once I take off the copper wire, everything can just be tossed into my compost pile. So I like that. Okay, so I hope you liked my consignment and thrift store finds for spring. I'm looking forward to spring, but I'm not going to rush it. This is our first winter here at Sugarwood, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the area. We've already had a lot of ice here, a lot of snow, but I'm not going to rush the season. Now, by the end of February, I'll probably be waving that white flag, bring on spring, because I'm sure I'll be ready by then, and then we'll have mud season, and then I'll say, bring on dry spring. So that's another story. I want to thank you for following along on today's video. If you like what you saw and you are not already subscribed, please do so. At the end of this video, you're going to see some additional videos you can click on, or also there's going to be a circle with my face on there. Just click on that and it will take you to the subscribe section. But until next week, friends, bye now. Let's get you back to someplace nobody will see you.